Holy crap. That sounds painful.
It does.
How, sir, will I crap?
I don't know. I'd say same way you always have, through your mouth.
Boy, that's true when I get to Twittering. Podcast is live on the Talking Tuscaloosa YouTube page to be released to our adoring public.
Adoring public. Yes, I like it.
Soon. All right.
All right, here we go.
We're
Hey,
gone.
everybody, and welcome into Talking Tuscaloosa. Luke Robinson along with Jimmy Stein, as always. Jimmy, how are you today?
Yes. Oh, just got out of a deposition.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How was it?
Exhilarating.
Awesome. They always are.
They're awesome. That's fine.
Well, this is the post-National Championship edition, a little bit late, but we all had to lick our wounds and other various parts, so there we are.
Well, no one licked my wounds. I had to fend for myself on that one. You know, I was down. I mean, I was really down. We're not used to getting beat, and we're certainly not used to getting beat by that. Obviously, that was the most lopsided loss of the entire Saban era, and we didn't see that coming. I mean, I wasn't shocked that we lost. I'm not shocked when you lose to Clemson, who's 55-4 now with 2 national titles in 4 years. Anybody's shocked that we just lost the game? They have a very narrow understanding of how sports works. I mean, there's more than one good team. So I'm not shocked that we lost. Now, the manner in which we lost, the way in which we lost, the score by which we lost, that was all shocking. And it took me a couple of days to get over it. Then I got excited and very focused about 2019, and I remain excited and focused on 2019 despite this huge story going on about basically we're allowed to have a head coach and 10 assistants, and right now it appears next season we're going to have a head coach and maybe 2.3 assistants.
Can coaches enter the transfer portal? Because I think ours have.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I love me a good transfer portal joke.
A good transfer portal joke that's hard to beat. You know what I really wanted before Jalen made his decision? I wanted a friend of mine to generate a GIF with like just a standing still picture of Jalen like throwing the football, and then you know that the universal symbol for like getting dizzy or getting into a portal is like that little black and white swirly thing that they do in the Twilight Zone forever. Like have him in the middle of that, then have him just disappear into it. You know, that's what I wanted, but I couldn't get anybody to make that for me. But
kind of funny though. I tweeted this and it didn't get many laughs. I think I'm up to about 40 likes on it or something. But I thought it was kind of funny. Jalen enters the transfer portal somewhere around January 10th. And all the transfer portal good jokes are about, you know, riffs on how basically you're beamed to someplace immediately. But when Jalen steps out of the transfer portal at Oklahoma is like January 16th. I'm like, transfer portal? I mean, you could have ridden by a horse to Norman, Oklahoma in 6 days. A transfer portal slow as shit. 6 days, 6 full days to transport Jalen from Tuscaloosa to Norman.
Prospectors think that took a long time.
It did.
So a couple of things. There's no real. I mean, if you want to bring up something from the game that hasn't been discussed yet, so be it. I'm going to give a different perspective, and I've said this on all the various platforms I'm on. That I'm not happy we lost. I want to put that caveat out there. I believe Clemson earned the championship. They beat our butts. I'm not going to make excuses, none of that stuff. But I'm going to say this. I was okay with it. I mean, I'm still in the mode of appreciating where I am. We are having constant, uncommitted, free to do what you want to sex with Sarah Jean Underwood all the time.
We are?
We are. I mean, metaphorically.
Because I've got some wounds to lick.
Well, let me say this. I am, but she's just not there. But no, My point is
He's
that we
there.
are in the middle
He's there
of
in spirit.
we're in the middle of the greatest thing ever, and so we just need to appreciate it. We just, I mean,
Yep.
we're
No, I agree. I agree a million. I mean, I agree a million%. I'm just surprised there's one other person out there that feels like I do, like that. I mean, which is appreciative of playing on that big stage again and how fun it is to get all the way to the last game. We don't understand that as Alabama fans. We take it for granted because we've been in every playoff. You just wait till we hit a freaking 15-year streak and not being in the playoff at all. And that is coming one day.
yes, it is. Yes, of course it is. And I mean, everybody
works. It's how sports works.
I mean, you know what's really going to suck is like we'll go to the playoffs next year. I wholeheartedly believe that. And so we will have been to the first 6 playoffs, but Clemson will have been to the first 5 the
last 5.
The last 5. And you would think, you know, in 10 years when you're going, okay, which team's been to the playoffs the most? You'd say, oh, well, it's easily Alabama. Clemson may have been more than us by that time.
That's true.
It's going to piss us off.
That's true. Well, there's double dynasties, dual dynasties. That's the way to put it. And here's the thing that if you want to really get yourself all blood pressured up here, you know, there's a handful. It's not huge. It's not a wave of it. But there's a handful of references out there that we lost, so the dynasty is over, or we've been replaced by Clemson. The same media guys saying that are going to project Alabama to be in the playoff next year once the preseason predictions come out. How can the dynasty be over when we're still projected to do things like win the SEC, go to Atlanta, go to the playoff, get to the championship game? I didn't know there was a mandatory deal to where to still be a dynasty, you have to obliterate everyone you play all year long and be undefeated for multiple years. I mean, I get that we all get to decide what a dynasty is and what it isn't. But if Alabama starts the season preseason number 2 and is favored by most every expert to make it back to the playoff, the dynasty isn't over. I think the dynasty, myself, I will think Alabama's dynasty is over when we fail to make the playoffs 3 years in a row. I still say if we make the playoff next year and lose in the semifinal, make the playoff the next year, lose in the semifinal, the dynasty's still alive because we're just pissing right past the fact that getting to the playoff is a big damn deal. It's a huge damn deal. The only people that don't think so are Alabama and Clemson. I bet the other 128 teams think it's a big deal.
I mean, even Oklahoma, who's been there, I guess they've been there 3 times?
3 times for sure.
And I mean, the people don't even put them in the same area code as Alabama, much less Clemson, much less Alabama.
That's right.
Let me tell you. So anyway, if you know, championship, yes, it sucked to get beat like that. The statistics were not indicative of the game, obviously, and the score wasn't indicative of the game. I think it works both ways. But I want to tell you a quick funny story about the game when I was there. So before we leave, it helps to have a buddy who's got a plane. And so we had a buddy who had a plane. He took us out there. We went to Vegas first. And so we go to Vegas for a couple of days. And
did we talk about this?
Did you and I talk about this? There's no way we haven't talked about this since then.
Since the game?
We hadn't talked.
Did you go on a plane to Miami?
No.
Because we talked about a plane and it led to the story about your dad being in a plane crash.
Okay, yeah, but that was when I found out I was going on the plane. I hadn't told you about this other thing.
This is the actual what happened. That's right.
Yes.
We ended the podcast last time concerned about your pilot possibly being, I think as doctors would call it, you know, effed up.
Yeah, yes, they do. They use that term quite frequently. Look it up on Wikipedia. But so anyway, we stayed at the Wynn, and it's great, it's nice. And I'm sitting there talking, and with actually, I don't guess this hurts to say, I was with Paul Tyson's dad. He happened to be on the plane with us. Mark Tyson, super nice guy. Really pulling for Paul now because their family is so cool, and he's such a nice guy and talked to me for a long time. We got to be buddies. He's a good guy. But anyway, so he and I are talking outside the Wynn, waiting for our shuttle to come pick us up to take us back to the airport so we can head to Santa Clara. And we're just standing there talking. And as we're talking, the doors fly open. We're outside. And this probably 22-year-old or something walks out. He's like in a full winter coat, but basketball shorts and like basketball high tops, you know, and he walks out and he gets in between Mark and me and just keeps walking, but he lets out this primal scream. Just, ah! And he keeps walking, right? Well, just after he screams, 2 security guards come out and they go, "Keep walking, sir. Make a hard left, sir." So they're obviously throwing him out. And so he makes a left and he starts walking down the sidewalk and he's headed down towards the Strip. And as he's walking, I see, and I'm like, I got to watch this guy because he's probably on meth or something. And something funny's going to happen. So
meth
I
is
look
hilarious.
down the sidewalk and there's another guy who's got his Apple earbuds in. And he's got like on a lanyard for an expo. He's probably there for the, you know, the computer programming / Comic-Con expo. That was my nerd voice.
That was your nerd. I knew what it was, so it must be pretty good.
And he had on like he had on a bad soul patch and some other kind of weird mustache that connected to it. It was he looked like a dude who was there who didn't know a national championship was going on, who probably didn't know Vegas had gambling, and he was just there for the computer programming seminar. Well, he's walking up the way, and the kid who let the scream out is walking down the other way, and the guy's on the nerd is on the phone, and like they go behind these bushes, so like as they cross paths, and I don't see what happens. But the next thing I see happen is the 2 security guards start running a little bit faster. And then I see the nerd with like one earbud dangling out of his ear. And he's got this surprised look on his face. And so, I just run up to him. I'm like, "Hey, dude, what happened?" He said, that guy just open face slapped me. What? And I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, he just slapped me. I don't know him." Like I was going to be able to help him. Like, "Oh, you didn't know him," And he said, "Yeah, he just slapped me." And then he looked at his phone. And he said, "Hey, man, I got to call you back. I just got slapped." and I was thinking, the guy on the other end is like, "What the hell is going on over there?" But anyway, thought it was pretty funny. I mean, but it brought up an interesting conversation with our whole group about if you're walking down the street, minding your own business, just walking down the street and on the phone, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, someone slaps the piss out of you. What did 5 fingers say to the face? Slap. Then you would love to think you have the wherewithal to punch him in the face back. But my bet is no matter if you're Lou Ferrigno or Rowdy Roddy Piper, boy, I'm really reaching back for some tough guys, aren't I? Or Chuck Norris, that
all of your examples are guys from the 70s.
I know but don't you think because I told everybody the story and they were like, "Why didn't he hit him?" And I said, "Because there's no way you can be prepared for that."
No, that's right. That's why most people wouldn't, because you're not prepared. You're not prepared to punch someone at all seconds of the day unless you're just a weirdo.
Because first of all, you can't prepare for crazy. That's why when people say,
true,
when so-and-so, we got to have more security at this event and that event. I'm like, look, we can't prepare for all crazy. Crazy is like 5 steps ahead of us. Now they're dumber than we are, but in terms of being crazy, they're way ahead of us. So we can't prepare for everything. But what I equated it to was, this was the human interaction equivalent of Alabama versus Georgia 2008. Alabama was the primal screaming guy that got kicked out of the casino that slapped the hell out of somebody else minding their own business, and they didn't know how to react. Exactly.
And so, how is Paul Tyson's father?
He's super guy. We were all like, we had a nice philosophical debate about this the whole flight to Santa Clara.
The whole flight back with your inebriated Pilot.
Well, yeah, well, what I did was in mid-flight, I went and slapped the shit out of the pilot just to see what would happen.
Just to wake him up, to get him out of his meth stupor.
Well, you know what? If you're going to stay awake for a flight, meth is what's for breakfast.
So I agree that you said, well, if we have something new to say, something exciting to say, some hot take on the game, I don't even like talk about it. And I'm not being one of those fans that just ignores everything, happens bad. I just, let's just say this. Clemson was the best team in college football in 2018. They were the first team to ever finish 15-0. They won the championship game by a substantial number of points. They're led by a great Hall of Fame coach with a quarterback that's likely to be the first pick in the draft in 2021, defensive line that has 4 guys that are all going in the first round of this upcoming draft. And just give them credit. Great team. And Alabama got beat by a great team. And let's start putting the pieces back together and see what we can accomplish in 2019. It'll be an all new year for everybody. So let's focus on 2019. Let us be the first.
By the way, I met Bama Katie in
famous man. She's quite message board famous. Quite message board famous. Quite Twitter famous. Bama Katie.
Can you imagine?
Great Bammer. One of the great Bammers.
She is a great Bammer. But can you imagine anything creepier than me walking up to you at a random bar where you're just minding your own damn business?
At a bar. Did you?
And
you
I'm like,
slap her?
I'm like, I know you from the internet.
Oh God!
I mean, I was like,
you should have gone with your nerd Comic-Con voice.
Or I should have just gone and slapped the hell out of her.
That's what I'm saying. You should have just slapped her and seen the reaction, because as we discussed, that's just great comedy. Girls love that.
They do.
They really do. They do. They're like, oh, I like the cut of his jib.
Well, hey,
so how was Bama Katie? So this was in a bar near the stadium, I take it?
Relatively close to the stadium. But yeah, she was super nice. She was there with Butch, who he and his busted toes have been on the podcast with us before.
That's right. Highly famous now, thanks to Talking Tuscaloosa podcast, Butch Worley. So Butch Worley there with Bama Katie, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they were there together. I mean, they might have been. I didn't ask. I mean, I didn't get.
Boy, she gigged me one time on Twitter that was so funny. I've never forgotten it, because it was years and years ago. I think we were about to play Michigan. That's how long ago she jabbed me, but it was so funny. I've always remembered it. We're about to play Michigan to start 2012, and I got nervous. People won't remember this because it's such a minor thing, but a tropical storm was going to hit the Mississippi Gulf Coast. As a matter of fact, it was going to hit on right about the same spot that Katrina hit. I mean, just right on that Mississippi-Louisiana line, which means most of the weather will be slightly east of that. So Biloxi and Gulfport were going to get it pretty good, and it was scheduled to hit about the same time as we were leaving. We were driving to Dallas for the Alabama-Michigan game in 2012, and of course, everybody on Twitter is talking about the weather and who's leaving at what time. Of course, I'm one of the few, coming from the coast, and it wasn't an issue if you're driving from Birmingham or somewhere else. I mean, but it was an issue if you had to drive I-10. And so I get asked, hey, LJS, are you going to risk it and hit the road? And we'd seen that we could delay leaving until the storm had just passed, or we would be getting just the outer fringes of it. So I said, yeah, we're going to risk it. I'm just going to drive very carefully and very slow. And Bama Katie responded to my tweet, and she said, yeah, that is how old people drive.
Well, you hadn't forgot that.
I hadn't forgot. I laughed. I laughed at her making fun of me for obviously 6 years now. I'm still laughing.
You're looking for some kind of window to get her ass back, aren't you?
I probably have.
I can see you scouring.
See, I don't remember my own jokes. I probably have, but I remember when she got me. That was good.
But I bet you're like scouring her Twitter feed at all hours of the night going, I want you to slip up just one time, Bama Katie. One damn time.
Jerk store.
Okay. So the big question, first of all, what are your thoughts on Jalen going to Oklahoma? I'm fine with it. I wish him the best.
Love it.
Yep.
Great fit into the offense. Some people say it's not. I think actually it is. I think it's a great fit in the offense. I mean, I think it's great because some of our fans are still super critical about how Jalen's not going to throw it as well as Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, which is probably correct. I mean, who are you comparing him to? The Heisman winner and the first pick in the draft? Yeah. But I still think that the ultimate quarterback for an Oklahoma offense, as we've seen, is a dual threat guy who is comfortable playing at a fast tempo. That's Jalen. So he's going to fit in well. He's surrounded by playmakers. He's not going to play the murderer's row of defenses you normally see in the SEC. I think he's going to do great. And think about this point, Luke, in terms of him arriving at Oklahoma, he's arriving with a bigger reputation for being a good quarterback than Baker Mayfield did or that Kyler Murray did. I mean, Jalen's showing up more proven than the other two. Now, I'm not alleging that Jalen's going to prove to be better or even as good as Baker and Kyler. I'm just saying Jalen's showing up with more, as we say in the adult world, yeah, with more initials after his name, So I think it's a great choice, and I like it as an Alabama fan because it won't be hard to see Jalen's games in the fall. Oklahoma's on a big network every week. They play Houston in the opener. That will certainly be a Fox. I think Fox has the Big 12 games.
But God, think about that. Jalen being from Houston, essentially, playing Houston in game one. Houston, the team everybody thought he would transfer to with Dana Holgorsen.
Right.
Did I just – here's the thing. When you say Dana Holgorsen, don't you want to say Dana Holgorsen? Because with that mullet, doesn't it look like his name would be Dana?
He does look a little bit like a character you might see on Dukes of Hazzard circa 1978.
He looks like the guy that would be Cooter's right-hand man.
You don't want to be Cooter's right hand. You don't want to be his right-hand man or his right hand.
Either way. Okay. So now about all this coaching moving around. What you got for us?
Well, I've been asked about this a lot. And here's the first point to make. It's not one size fits all. And people love to have everything boiled down to a bumper sticker or a 5-word phrase for what's going on. But it's just a fact, much like recruiting. It's a case-by-case basis. It's not, well, all the coaches left because of this. All the coaches got better offers. That's not true. All the coaches got fired. Not true. All the coaches just left Nick. Not true. It is individual basis. And also this, while me and you, Luke, are in a position to know quite a bit, there's no way that anyone outside of Nick Saban himself knows all of the facts in every case. So we're sort of speaking out of turn as it relates to every single one of these things where we'll know some of the facts, but we don't know all of the facts in every situation. I just know it's not one size fits all. And as for why Brent Key isn't in Alabama is not the same reason that Josh Gaddis isn't in Alabama, which is not the same reason Mike Loxley's not at Alabama, which is not the same reason Tosh Lupoy is no longer at Alabama. With more to come. I know there's more to come. I don't want to name names, but there's more to come. I know of at least one, two. I know of at least two more. I think that's coming. So we'll end up with another 6, 7 guys maybe out. Which is similar to the number from last year. So, but it's not a scandal. It's not, hey boy, they hate working for Nick. If they hate working for Nick, then some of them didn't want to leave, and some of them had to leave. So it's just different case by case basis, different reason in every instance. The only thing that matters is how is this going to affect our 2019 football season on the field? And we had a new staff last year. And we went 14-0, won the SEC, won the Orange Bowl, favored to win the national championship game. So last year's massive turnover didn't really have a gigantic negative effect until the last game. And even then, it's kind of hard to argue that had anything to do with the news, in my opinion. But so how are the new hires, whoever they're going to be? I think let's just talk about that, Luke. I think it's basically public now that the new offensive coordinator or quarterback coach or both is going to be Steve Sarkisian. What are your thoughts on the return of Sark? Alabama after Sark?
I am totally fine with it. I don't see, I mean, I've seen some uproar and I've seen the jokes. And look, he's going to get the jokes. He earned the right to be made fun of a little bit. I mean, he just did. And it wasn't just that he had a drinking problem. He went out and made a fool of himself on a couple of occasions while at Southern Cal. And, you know, when you do stuff like that, the public's going to kill you in this day and age with social media especially. So, but here's the thing. And I've said this forever and ever and ever. I've learned this throughout my 46 years. People would rather praise you for redeeming yourself than praise you for being good the entire time. America prefers you to crash and burn and then pick yourself up out of the ashes than to just always play it kind of safe and always be kind of good and never really cause trouble. Those guys don't get the same accolades as the guys who make the comeback stories. And here right. Sark is about to have a chance to make an incredible comeback story. So I'm pro second chances on guys like this. What he did, while if people want to make jokes, I get it. He didn't do anything that really harmed anybody else. I mean, USC fans may say, well, it harmed us, but I think that he didn't do anything malicious. I think that it was he didn't do anything but embarrass himself, and so now he has a chance for redemption. And I think it could make for a great story. And all the talk about, well, he got fired from the Falcons. You know, the Falcons weren't that bad on offense, and he's going to walk into a situation where if he needs to get his feet wet with this thing again and rebuild some confidence. If I wanted to rebuild confidence, I would like to say, hey, why don't I start with Tua Tagovailoa and the Biletnikoff winner and Najee Harris, who was the best running back in the country a couple years ago and the best running back in the country this year. And then, Brian Robinson. Also want to start with Henry Ruggs and Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. I kind of want to start with those guys to rebuild my rep.
Oh, well, yeah. You mean, it's kind of like driving a car. I mean, it's like Sark hasn't driven in a while, so we're going to hand him a Honda, or we're going to hand him the Ferrari, and he's been handed the Ferrari. Very, very similar to what he was handed in Atlanta. Atlanta had the number one offense in the NFL when he was handed those keys, and he sort of drove it into a ditch initially. Although his second season in Atlanta, they finished sixth in the NFL in total offense. But Sark is inheriting one hell of a situation. And I think he's going to do great. I think now that I've had a while to digest it, Luke, I'm almost defensive about the decision now because I see it so clearly as being the absolute right thing to do, in the sense that I would ask somebody that's like, I don't like this. Then my answer, my question is why? Why don't you? What did Sark do that makes you feel this isn't the right hire? Is it because he lost the one game he was our offensive coordinator? You talking about that game where he had 1 week to prepare as our offensive coordinator and still managed to score 31 points against an elite defense? That's why you don't like him? Or is it because he got fired for a personal problem? Not losing and not having a bad offense. He got fired for having a personal problem at USC that is seemingly addressed. Seemingly, no one knows that it's not. As a matter of fact, he didn't get fired from Atlanta for off the field reasons. Didn't leave Alabama over an off the field reason. So if that's your reason, well, I don't like him because he got fired for a personal problem that he had 4 years ago. I just think that's unfair. I think it's unfair. I get it. I'm not saying you're a dumbass for believing that. I'm just saying I think it's unfair. I think a personal problem can be addressed and fixed. And we don't know that he hasn't done that. So what is it about Sark's resume you don't like? Because this is what I see when I see his resume. I see a guy who was a quarterback coach on back-to-back national champions. I see a guy that was offensive coordinator at USC when they went 13-1, won the Pac-12, won the Rose Bowl, and he had a top 10 offense, not with Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, no, with Mark Sanchez as his quarterback. I see a guy that has been hired from college to be an NFL offensive coordinator of a great team that had just come off a Super Bowl appearance. And so he's been an NFL OC for 2 years. I see a guy now that's been hired by Nick Saban twice. So I think his resume is outstanding. And I think everybody needs to get on board and give him a chance because, goodness, he's got Tua to work with. He's got the backs. He's got the best receiving core in Alabama history. He's going to have a good offensive line. We know things won't be perfect. There'll be an adjustment. But I think Sark's going to do I think he's just great, and I think it's a great hire. Not a good hire, great hire. And for all those that said, well, I was looking forward to Enos being the guy. You liked Enos because he improved Jalen Hurts. That's why you, Mr. Alabama fan, like Enos. He improved Jalen Hurts, and he was the quarterback coach for Tua, who almost won the Heisman. And that is impressive. But how in the world is that one thing more impressive than Sark's lifetime of accomplishments, which far exceed Dan Enos's?
Right.
So there you have it. Pretty good rant, and that's why I'm on board and admit, and I do admit, because hell, I'm wrong about everything, but I do admit this. When I was first told that Sark was the choice and he was coming back, I'll admit my first reaction was negative. My first reaction was, what? What? Really? But as with everything, you just have to think it through, think about it from Nick's spot, look at the situation, and the more I look at it, the more I'm actually excited about this. So, welcome back home, Sark.
I'm totally on board with you too. And hey, you know what? It's going to be an interesting ride with this cat. And now we just get to wait to see about defensive coordinator. Jimmy, I know you need to go. So any thoughts about the basketball team real quick?
Great win last night. Great win. I get very frustrated when our fans on message boards and Twitter meet accomplishment with derision. Just because you think Alabama basketball sucks, Mr. Alabama fan, and you're never happy, can't we at least clap when we win an SEC game on the road? And by the way, we were a 1-point favorite. Let's not pretend like we were 30-point favorites and played bad to win the game. We were a 1-point favorite, and we won an SEC game on the road. And it's a good accomplishment. Is everybody going to just jump right off the bandwagon when we get blown out by Tennessee? Probably so. But Tennessee is in one place right now, and we're not there yet. And the outcome of the game this upcoming Saturday means nothing to a team that is just trying to sneak back in the back door of the NCAA tournament this year.
Yeah, but God Almighty, I mean, and I'm with you. And I mean, it is a good win. But what it kind of does when you win a game like that, it pisses you off even more that you lose to an A&M squad when all you had to do was stop the ball. That's all you had to do.
It was really frustrating because it was such a screw up at the end. And I know everybody's mad, and everybody deserves to be mad. And I bet the team was mad because that was the best defense we played all year last night. We beat Missouri. That was the best defense we played all season. So you could tell the team was mad at themselves because they played with great effort last night. But we did play really well against A&M for a huge chunk of that game. For a huge chunk of that game, I'm like, man, we're pretty good. It got away from us, and that's horrible. And we deserved that loss by how we played at the very end. But let's not give up on the fact that we're a pretty good team. You have to be pretty good to get up by 14. Correct. Against a quality team like A&M. So I think it's just not going to be easy with this group. It's not going to be easy because we're not great, and people need to stop putting the football team's expectations on the basketball team. The basketball team is different. We're not great. No one said this team was going to be great. No one promised you that, but they play with good effort. They score points. And I think throughout the course of the season, they're going to give you some really good moments along with, the moments or the games that make you want to bite a pine tree.
I've never heard that saying before.
Me neither. I made it up just now. I don't know. I don't know. It was just a vision.
Just again, apropos of nothing, I was riding down the road the other day and Garth Brooks' Friends in Low Places comes on. And for whatever reason, I have no idea why this popped in my head, but I thought, I wonder, I guess when you're Shaquille O'Neal, all your friends are in low places, aren't they? Is that stupid?
It's so bad. It's funny. It's
I know,
so bad. It's so bad. It's funny.
I wish I could
All
work
right,
that into a tweet.
Let's do a show next week about recruiting the new coaches. I bet we have some official word on who the new coach here and there is going to be. And let's see, Butch Jones likely to be on the staff. Let me tell you, I like old Butch. I like him.
I like old Butch. I'm fine with old Butch.
No, heck yeah.
All right. Roll Tide, everybody.
Talking Tuscaloosa. Roll
Brought to you
Tide.
by Pringles. Right. Bye.
Bye.